Welcome, welcome! Today we'll be going over updates and alters within SQL Server. The difference between the two is update is meant for changing the data, and alter is meant for changing the table structure. We will go over 3 different methods for updating data. This will start from beginner and go to advanced. The 3 different methods that we will go over include hard coding. This will be, I want to look up this record and make this column be whatever value. Our second method will be referencing a work table. And this is great for if you have multiple records you want to update all at once. And so you can make a work table a couple different ways. You can either do select star into your new work table name, or you can use the create table method. The third method will be copying over data from one database to another, but you're still working within the same SQL server. And then alter, we will cover adding a column, removing a column, and changing the data type. And that can also include the max size allowed. And with that, let's hop over to Management Studio. So for our videos going forward, I have created 2 databases. One I'm going to treat as my prod or production, and the second one is my dev environment. And in one of our original tutorials, we did cover creating databases within your SQL Server. If you don't have one already, you can right-click on Databases, go to New Database. You'll get a pop-up window where you can just give it a name, hit OK, and you'll be ready to go. So to start off, we currently don't have any tables to work in. So let's go ahead and click on New Query. And I'm double checking when I clicked on New Query, I was already selected in my production database, and I can double check that in the top left corner. If you're in the wrong database, you can click on the drop down and select it from there. So that's how you can change between databases. To make tutorials easier, I'm copying all of the scripts that we'll be using in here in our GitHub. A link will be provided in the description below. So saving time, I'm going to go ahead and copy over some of our notes. Step 1, we need a table to work in. So let's go ahead and create our table. For example, I'm going to make a simple table for like budgeting. If you're wondering about this identity 1,1, this is where I want to have a auto increments ID column. And so the first number is your starting point. The second number is the increment. I want to start at 1 and increase by 1. If you want to start at 1 and increase by 2, then change the second number to 2. To give a quick example of how this looks. So just to show you, because we just made the table, it is blank. And you're not going to see it in our tables immediately. So I'm going to click our database name, click the refresh. Now we see our new table. And I'm going to run a insert into script in just a moment to insert several records, but just to quickly show you the auto increment at work, I'm going to right click our table name, click on edit top 200 rows. So the ID is going to populate itself. In our category, I'm just typing in whatever. Go down and you'll see this changed to 1. So I did start at 1, increment by 1. So now I'm going to give this a different value. It went to 2. Type in something else. It went to 3. So again, when you do the edit top 200 rows, there isn't a save button because it's saving as you are populating the data. And as a quick side note, if you use the same value as another record, you'll see this little error message. I'm going to click the X up here, do a select, and it actually did save our next ID of 4. So no need to panic, it did save. Two things, when it comes to the auto increment, it behaves differently if you use truncate versus delete from. So if I truncate our table right now, and truncate just means remove all the data. And actually, I was planning on talking about this in our next video, so we're kind of going ahead of ourselves, but that's okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing, right click the table name, edit top 200, put in some value. It starts at 1 again. 1 to 2, ooh. Okay, so now I'm gonna close it. And it's saved, right? So we previously had data that started at 1, 2, 3, 4, but once we truncated, it went back to 1, 2, etc. So now what if I do delete from buckets? We only had 2 records in there, so only 2 rows were affected. It's empty. Right click, edit top 200, put in some value. It went to 3 instead of 1. So just a quick side note on truncate and delete. And the reason for this behavior is related to logs in SQL Server. So truncate doesn't get recorded in the logs, but deletes do. So because we used delete last time, it's recorded in a log, and the logs remember, hey, before you did the delete, you had records going from 1 to 2. So you're going to start at 3 now. So now, again, we have records 3 and 4. What if I do truncate again? Do a little experiment. Make sure it's empty. It's going back to 1 again. Interesting. Alrighty. So that was just a quick demo of that. But again, we want this video to be about updates and alters, so I'm going to go ahead and get us squared away, getting some actual data in there. Again, all these scripts will be copied into GitHub. So, and actually, I realized before I start recording that I changed the ID to be identity, so we don't need to populate the numbers. Now, just for the sake of the tutorial, let's see what happens. Because it should be populating the ID for us, but what if we do it ourselves? Cannot insert explicit value because of the identity column. Okay. So I'm just going to take that off, and I'm going to populate just the category and subcategory. So the way how I like to focus on budgets is our category is the overall idea of the budget. And that'll be, for example, bills. Our subcategory is going to be, okay, what kind of bill? Be more specific. Is it for water, electricity, your housing, Wi-Fi, phone, etc.? Bills could be the recurring monthly expenses that you get, 1 bill a month for. And then you can have other expenses where the costs can go up and down. It can fluctuate based on usage. That can be like groceries, your gas, your clothes. Maybe you have another bucket for your retirement funds. Let's go ahead and execute. We have 12 rows affected. We can do our select and see all of our data. Okay. So now for actually getting into our updates. And the way how I like to organize my notes in SQL, I like to put in the 2 dashes, which is how you write a comment. And you'll notice the color changed to green. I'll put in some kind of symbol to make it easy to see I am breaking this apart. So now this is our update notes. We are covering method 1, which is hard coding our updates. So let's do a simple update. We want to update buckets, which is our table name. We want to set the comments column equal to, let's say, paid once a month. Goodness, I cannot type this morning. There we go. Okay, so what if I run it just like this? What's going to happen? 12 rows were affected. So let's see how this looks. That's not right. It might be true for the bills, but groceries and gas, you don't pay for gas once a month. You don't pay for groceries once a month. So we really should have added a where clause in here to be more specific. I want to update certain records. Another thing that I did wrong is when you make updates in SQL Server, yes, you can do updates like this, but it's not safe. It's pretty risky. Because if you did something wrong, you can't go backwards. So let's set the stage again. Update buckets, set comment equal to null. This just means nothing. Okay, so now we're back to how we were before. This time I'm going to do begin tran, which means begin transaction, rollback, miss. So now I'm going to highlight from begin tran to at the end of our update, not including rollback and commit. So if the update looks wrong, then we highlight just rollback and execute, and it'll undo what we did with the begin tran. If everything looks correct, then we highlight commit, execute, and it'll save. Okay? So now let's do begin tran, do our update, execute, 12 rows affected. Before I save, I'm going to do a select to double check, does our work look okay? And I see, oh no, I forgot to add our where clause. I didn't learn my lesson from before. So I'm going to highlight rollback, execute, commands commit successfully. Check it again, and the updates that we did previously are now gone. So now I have a second chance. I can redeem myself. So let's do where category equals bills. Begin tran. Now only 6 rows were affected. Don't do your commit yet. Double check your work. Always double check your work. I can see here's our 6 rows that were affected because their category was bills. That looks correct to me. I can scroll down. Everything else is null. We're good. Commit. And if I commit again, it'll say there's nothing to commit because there's no open transaction. Okay, so that was our example of hard coding, looking at one specific record and giving it one specific value. So now we are going to move forward with our method 2, which is update based on another table. So you can either do another create table, and if you are doing that, I suggest with your work table, take out the identity and just leave the ID as is, just a integer column. In our example, we are going to use the select star into method. So select star into work table buckets. So I use WK to stand for work table, but you can call it whatever you like. And we are copying from the buckets table. 12 rows affected. So to see our new work table, click on our database name, click the blue refresh, and now we see our work table. I'll just copy that, select star from work table. You can see it is a full copy. So now let's do an update in our work table, and then we will copy our update from our work table over to the actual table. So let's copy from our notes. For our subcategory of of groceries, I'm going to update the comment to say it'll increase next month. When doing your updates, be safe and use begin tran. Highlight to the end of our update. Double check your work to make sure it looks good. So just our groceries has that will increase next month comments. Looks good to me. Highlight commit. Execute. So now, here's our example of updating our original table from our work table. So always do begin tran, update our table buckets, set comment equal. I'm going to change this in just a moment, but I'll put a placeholder just for a second here. I'll just say X from our work table buckets, and I'm going to give it an alias, call it B. And now we have to explain to our query or to our script, how does our work table buckets connect to the original table buckets? So now we say where the buckets table period category equals, I'm going to say B because that's the alias we gave it, B dot category. If I did not give it an alias, then I would have done the same thing I did on the left side and just do work table buckets category. But again, I like to use the alias to save space wherever I can. Subcategory. And yes, because in this table we gave it a ID column, I could have just done that. Yeah, either way. Roll back. Commit. Goodness. There we go. Okay. Oh yeah, and I need to change the comment in buckets will be replaced by the comment from our work table. So again, we are going to begin tran to the end of our update. 12 rows affected. And it's 12 instead of 1 because we didn't specify just update subcategory. So this is great where if you want to update multiple records and they all have their own unique value. So now double check our work. Start from buckets. So groceries. So now our buckets table has that increase, will increase next month comment that we made in our work table. Moving forward to our third method. Method 3, copy from another database from same SQL server. So to do this, I want to make a table in dev, and then we will copy over the data from dev to prod. The reason why you would do this would be if you have some new updates, some new scripts, but you want to test them out first. Definitely do in a dev environment, and if everything looks good, then copy over to prod just to be safe. So while I'm clicked in our dev database, I'm going to click on new query, and I'm going to make the same table over here, and same as what I said for our work table for method 2. For any work tables or copies of tables, I like to leave off the identity and specifying primary keys. I like to have the work table be more fluid, but still being restricted by the same data size. So now, let's start from buckets. So now in our dev environment, we have the same table. So I'm going to do something similar. So we want to insert into this buckets table. And I'll say, I'm not feeling very creative right now. But one, why did I go from 1 to 3? 1 to 2. Bill 3. There we go. Good enough. 3 rows affected. And I did not specify an ID, so that's why that is null. But that is okay. So now, going into actually for the example I had written down, I had it written the other way. Truncate table buckets. There we go. So if we had data in prod that we wanted to do testing on, we can do insert into buckets in our dev environment, select star from, I am specifying our database that we want to pull from. So pulling from prod. The default schema is just DBO. So I'll say DBO buckets. And double checking I did truncate. It is empty. I can copy. I'm just watching the execution down there. That was taking a moment. I don't think I have any open transactions, do I? Let me double check. I did. So that's actually a good comment. If you notice any of your scripts seem to take a while, even some select queries, the culprit could be a open transaction that hasn't been committed yet. You know, for example, I've also worked in SQL servers where, you know, my team we're all working in the same database. Another colleague had a begin tran open. Meanwhile, on my side, I was trying to do a query, and it just kept running and running. And finally, I sent a message over to them in Teams asking, "Do you have any open transactions?" And they were like, "Oh, sorry." So yeah, funny. The more you know. So now our dev environment has all the data from production. So this is where we can do our updates. And actually, I'm not going to use that example since we have our data. Begin tran. Update. Comments. Again, just putting something there for a second. Whoop. I'm not thinking straight. Update buckets. Set comment equal to. I'm going to concat a little bit. So I'll keep the original comment plus. This is a dev comment. Let's see. Rollback. Commit. "12 rows affected." Look at your work. Did not mean to do that. So if it already had a comment, then it took the comment plus added extra text. And if it was null, well, it looks like it didn't put anything in there at all. Let's roll that back. Let's do uncat. Double check everything is back to normal. Let's do our update again. 12 rows affected. There we go. So doing concat or concatenate, it'll preserve the original comment along with your new comment. If we do, you know, just a plus, it's only adding to what was currently in there. Let's do commit. And let's actually go back over here. Now that we're back in production. Begin tran, rollback, commit, update, buckets table, set comment equal to, again, I'll change that in just a moment. from our dev environment, our buckets table from there, give it an alias of B. Subcategory. Okay. So begin tran, update buckets, set comment equal to the comment from B, which is our dev environment buckets table, where the categories match and subcategories match. Let's look at the data before we do our update. Get an idea. Yep. So now, begin tran to the end of our update. 12 rows affected. Double check our work. And now, in our prod database, we can see the comments that we made in dev and now copied over. This is dev comment. And commit. Good deal, good deal. So now we are going to moving down to our alter notes, and this won't take us long at all. Here, just to speed things along, I'm going to copy over from my notes. So our first example is adding a new column. You do alter table, put the table name, add. In our case, we are going to say vendor, and then give it a data type of varchar25. And the difference between varchar and char is varchar is variable characters. So the name of the vendor could be up to 25 characters, or it can be, anything shorter than 25. Versus if we said char, char 25, then the vendor name would have to equal 25 characters. Take a look at our buckets. We now have a new column for vendor. If we want to rename the column, we can do execute or exec. The store procedure rename. Specify the table dot the old column name, comma, and then say the new column name. So I'll execute that. And it does give you a warning if you do have any other scripts or maybe views saved, your other coding could fail because you rename something. But in our database at this time, we don't have anything written like that so far, so this is fine. So for our next update, let's quickly put in some data in here. So I'm just going to do a quick update buckets, set the vendor name to by and large. Just so we have data in there. So let's try to make updates if there's already data in that column. So what if we change the data type, but the size is still the same? So we're going from varchar to char. So alter table buckets, alter column, vendor name, char25, completed successfully. And that is changing the data type. It's also, if you go to the left-hand side, go to our table buckets, if you columns, I have There we go. We can see the data types and data sizes here as well. So just for fun, if I switch this back to varchar, you won't see varchar just yet, but if I refresh this, look at our columns, it changed to varchar. So get that back to how it was before. So that was, we changed between varchar and char, but it was still the same max size. What if we tried to change it to something smaller? So let's say the vendor name can be max 5 characters long. It is going to error out because we have data already in that column. So it says, you know, string or binary data will be truncated in the table if we did this. And actually the statement is terminated. It won't even give us the option to continue. And then for removing a column, you do alter table buckets, drop column, specify the column name. Command completed successfully. And vendor name is gone. And that concludes our update and alter tutorial for today. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And have a great day. Bye-bye.